Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Cerasi. I'm the managing editor at Oni Press, and I'm here with Floor de Goede, who's the author of Dancing on the Volcano, which is a book that I edited and helped bring to Oni, and I'm really excited to be here with him. Flo, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and tell everybody who you are and what you do?
I'm Flo de Goede. I'm a comic artist from Amsterdam, the Netherlands. Um, and I make comics and I illustrate children's books as well. And this is my US debut.
That's right. And I stumbled on you because I can't remember the exact trajectory, but I remember contacting an artist about something and then they said, "Oh, you should talk to Flo." And
I
they
think
sent
it's
me your link.
May. Yeah, May de Jong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so I talked to you and then you sent me your stuff and then I saw Dancing on the Volcano and I thought that's the one we should do.
yeah,
And so I'm happy that it all worked out and I've actually got the book here with me.
yeah. I've
Um,
got one here as well.
good. Yep, that's right. You got your copies. It's in stores November 22nd. I'll remind everybody of that again. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about and that attracted me to the book was the theme of distance, both physical and emotional. They're pretty much the main themes in the book. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about kind of what was the impetus to do this particular book, Dancing on the Volcano. I know that you have a regular strip. So what was the kind of start of Dancing
Yeah.
on the Volcano?
Well, the regular strip it's are very short comic strips, and I wanted to tell something bigger and longer, so I had more time to tell something, and I didn't know what kind of story I wanted to tell. So I picked a travel I did. Like, okay, I wrote everything down in a diary, and this could be a nice book. And then I finally started with it, and it was supposed to be actually like the first chapter. That's about it. I travel with a friend who's a travel journalist to the Aeolian Islands. It was supposed to be the whole book was supposed to be about that travel, but then I talked with my editor about it, how it is going, and I was telling about the situation I had in my relationship, and she told me, "Oh my God, you don't make this story. You have to you make this story because it's so much better." And I thought, well, no, Jesus, I want to make a book about the volcanoes and stuff like that. And then we decided, we'll do it both.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but actually, it stopped right in the middle of everything I was supposed to do with the volcanoes. And then the second chapter was already about the relationship.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, that kind of physical and emotional distance, was that something you were conscious of when you were writing all of the book, or was it something that just kind of came to you later and you were like, I
Yeah,
think
because
I want to
yeah,
play out this theme?
uh, yeah, suddenly it all came together. Especially like the third chapter, that's almost made in real time,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's more like a mirror from the first chapter. So
Mm-hmm.
while making the book, I was learning from it as well, and the character in the book as well.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he does have a journey. He seems to appreciate what he has by the end of the book.
yeah,
And even though we sort of know that things are going to change,
yeah,
uh, Flo seems pretty kind of made peace with the sort of what he has and where he is,
yeah.
and distance
Besides,
takes on a different meaning.
yeah, because the first chapter he's very narrow minded. He's
Mm-hmm.
just he just knows he has one thing and that's the only thing, and he's missing it because it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
In the second chapter, he's realizing there is more in the world than just this, and then in the third, it's he's doing it. He's seeing everything else there is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things that it's, that how distance you can be in the same room with somebody and still feel distant, or you can
mm-hmm.
be thousands of miles away and yet feel connected. So I think
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
really interesting thing because you see the different types of connections that he has in the book with his then
mm-hmm.
partner, with his friends, with his sibling, with
Yeah,
friends. And I think that's one of the interesting things about it is that you get a real sense of kind of he's trying to find his place and all of that. And by the end of the book, he's had some resolution to it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's a literal and mental journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were some of the books or creators who helped you inspire the look and the feel of Dancing on the Volcano?
I don't think anyone specific. I take a lot of inspiration out of movies.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, I was drawing a movie, and I would always like to picture it that way. And from artists, yeah, I think I'm really inspired by a European artist always,
Mm-hmm.
like Volcano. I don't know if you know him. Um, um, the old French style,
Mm-hmm.
but nothing really specific. I think one of my closest friends, Micah Harches, she's a comic artist as well, and she's
Mm-hmm.
always really critical. So she always helps me finding the right spots and what isn't good enough or what
Mm-hmm.
is good. That helped me. But not yeah, not no one specific. Did you find something that you think, oh, that inspired the style and everything?
No, I to me it's totally unique and it's very much you and it some of the things I remind me of the comic strips that you'd see in US newspapers. Like it has very much a feel where you could go and isolate sections
Yeah,
of it and read it almost like a comic strip. But
yeah,
then when you read it together, you know, you see that it's a cohesive whole.
yeah,
The book came out in the Netherlands about 10 years ago now, was it? That
yeah,
it so it was interesting to kind of go back and revisit
yeah. I never
something that
expected
you
it.
did at a different point in time. I mean, are there things that you sort of would do differently or things that you kind of think work just as well now, or are there things that you think work actually this, you know, you didn't weren't that crazy about it then, but you realize now that it's pretty good.
Um, yeah, well, some of the stuff I wouldn't draw it the same way or use different techniques now. Um, but yeah, I think it still stands pretty good.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't think I would change anything in the story.
Hmm.
Yeah, for me, it was a memory trip again,
Yeah.
and that's with all my comics. I always, when I reread them, it's always like I'm looking at a photo book and
Hmm.
thinking of all the memories because they're all memories.
Right.
Yeah, so it was fun to see it again that way, and I'm happy to share it now with the
Yeah.
world.
It's
Yeah,
great. I mean, it may be sort of old news for you, so to speak, but for US
yeah,
readers, it's going to be brand new, which is really, really nice.
yeah.
So, I mean, when you started creating comics, did you always do autobiographical material, or did you originally intend to start out with something else, like making up characters in a little universe, or was it something where you just knew from the start you wanted these to be slice of
Yeah,
life autobiographical strips?
yeah. I think I always drew myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it was for me always a way to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I didn't even know what comics were, I always draw myself and my emotions, and my parents could see what I was feeling because I didn't talk that much or um, didn't know how to communicate without paper.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's still the way I communicate with everyone. Now I can talk, of course, but
Right.
um, it's more I can place my feelings better on paper and in
Mm-hmm.
a comic because I can see it myself as well and realize what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So had you grown up reading comics? Like how did you get started drawing? Like was it something that you always did? Did you go to school? Did you get extensive training or was it kind of were you more self-taught?
Yeah, I was self-taught. In the beginning, it was a lot of animation. That
Hmm.
was my inspiration in the beginning, and then I discovered comics. But it was mostly grown-up comics from my father that I found.
Hmm.
um, and later on, um, I started to buy them myself and got in contact with other comic artists, and
Hmm.
then I rolled into it.
Because this you have a really great sense of whimsy. You know, especially when the island of Volcano becomes a giant sea creature and he's got a kind of exasperated look on its face. And so what was your thinking behind all those moments? You know, there's a lot where Flo gets too close to the edge of the cliff and he imagines himself falling over? Was it all
Yeah.
things that you sort of, were thinking at the time, or was it something where as you were creating it, you thought it would be fun to kind of add a
Yeah.
little bit of.
I think it was something I always do in real life. I imagine stuff, and I always put them in my comics because, well, yeah, I can draw anything I want, so it works.
Mhm.
And with the island, I found it here. This was I made like a diary in a little sketchbook. I don't know if you can see it. This is
Hmm.
the first sketch
Uh-huh.
of the island. So it was at the moment I already saw the animal in there
Right.
island. So it's something I always see and do,
Hmm.
and it's in the book. It's a good way to show certain emotions.
Yeah.
Like there's a one that I could strangle by the house plant.
I also like the red cup, and I remember you were happy that we included the red
Yeah,
cup on the spine and
yeah,
used it as a motif.
yeah, yeah. The red cup is it's in years in the comic strips. It
Hmm.
always was like an iconic thing
Yeah.
for the characters
Hmm.
when people saw the red cup. And I was still
Do you still have the
people
red
are,
cup?
I still have the cup. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
So
fantastic.
yeah, it
Um,
was a metaphor for our love and relationship.
it was, yeah,
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 especially in the comics.
yeah,
So
yeah, because it catches it just before it's about to.
yeah,
One of the
yeah.
best moments in the book.
Okay, good.
You really get a sense of kind of the symbolism and the meaning of why that cup is so important.